Biomass energy makes up 7% of the world renewable energy, and trees and woody plants account for 87% of it. In East Africa, forests have shrunk over the past years as governments attempt to move away from fossil fuel-based power. They are increasingly looking at biomass as new technologies. According to the United Nations estimates, the forestry sector worldwide contributes about 17% to global warming from human sources, mainly because of deforestation in developing nations. 21st March has been declared the International Day of Forests by the United Nations General Assembly, making this global celebration of forests build on the successes of the International Year of Forests in 2011, and providing a platform to raise awareness of the importance of all types of trees and subsequently trees outside forests. So, why are trees important? Helen Asekenye attests to the vital role that trees play in our communities.
Trees are important because they give us cooking fuel. That is, like, we get charcoal, we get firewood out of it when we cut the trees down. They help us with shade. We sit on the shades when we plant the trees at home. Then they also help us in getting food. It's a source of food because we get spices out of it, which people use, and they help us to earn money. We sell them and get money.
Robert Esatu strongly advises people to plant trees.
If you are always using for contracting, like timber, secondly firewood, thirdly you can use even like a shed. Trees is very important. Mostly I like kalatusi, fene, avocado. If somebody eat avocado, you can't lack blood. Secondly, fene, they say they have assisting people with the white blood cells.
In a resolution to the United Nations General Assembly, it was noted that the states members of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations supported the establishment of the World Forest Day on 21st March each year. They decided to proclaim 21st March of each year the International Day of Forests to be observed starting in 2013 in order to celebrate and raise awareness of the importance of all types of forests and trees. In a resolution to the United Nations General Assembly, it was noted that the states members of the Food and Agriculture Organization established the World Forest Day on 21st March each year. They decided to proclaim the 21st March of each year the International Day of Forests to be observed starting with the year 2013, in order to celebrate and raise awareness of the importance of all types of trees and forests. In Uganda, there is a common saying that you cut down a tree and plant two. This practice could be ideal if all people felling trees adhered to it. Chimbowa Richard encourages people to plant trees of benefit to them. In fact, he recommends that for any benefit of a tree, plant it. For the provision of fruits, shade, timber, energy source, that is firewood and charcoal, herbs and fodder.
Thank you very much. Forests are extremely useful for sustaining livelihoods. When you talk about forests that catchment, that act as catchment areas, for example, Mount Elgon, or forests that are near water resources like Lake Victoria, River Nile, these are very important forests that are important to in terms of sustaining the reservoirs for communities, in terms of their fisheries, in terms of sustaining their water sources, in terms of sustaining their agriculture and so on. Therefore, in terms of looking at forests in the broader sense, it's important beyond looking at the one or two trees, but also looking at the collection of trees. Such forests are extremely important. Unfortunately, the global trend is that we are losing most of these catchment forests due to expansion for agriculture, increasing populations, as well as climate change. as well as the need for firewood and charcoal. So it's very important that we, much as we focus on the trees for individual use, we also have to focus on those public forests, call them forests that are in the conservation areas, or forests that have that value that is, being used by everybody, not here alone, but elsewhere in the world. Forests beyond the trees that stand, because there is much more in natural forests than what we probably know at the moment, and therefore it's important to have some patch of a forest, whoever has private land that has natural forest, to conserve that as much as possible, because when it is gone it will never be replenished, because it's very difficult to understand the content of a tropical forest, and therefore those who have lost it now are now trying to reclaim, but it's very expensive, and therefore those people who have natural forests on their land should endeavor to have a specific patch that they conserve, rather than cutting the whole of it. If it means planting some exotic trees, okay, that should be fine with sport, but not all of it to be cut down and replacing it with the exotic species. All of us, we have always been saying cut a tree and plant one. Maybe the message has gone stale. The thing is now to plant a tree that has a value to you. Maybe if I put that way, you plant a tree, if it's a fruit tree, if it's a shade tree, a tree for shade, if it's a tree for medicine, if it's a tree for any other use, that would be excellent, rather than saying plant a tree without any value attached to it.
Destruction of the woodland by rampant illegal settlement, cutting down trees and charcoal burning threatens severe damage to East Africa's forests, with an impact on energy, tourism, agriculture and water supply. Climate is East Africa's most vulnerable natural resource, which is a key determinant of the status of other natural resources including water, land, plants and animals, on which the economic and social development of the region depend. Energy is a major drive of economic development in the region. The basic rural energy sources for the local communities are climate-based, including hydroelectricity power, biomass and solar. The intertwining of factors in weather moderation and rain patterns in the region are based on the biomass and trees that mold it all in the socio-economic aspects of human livelihoods. Ken Olwach explains the importance of forests.
Forests are also important, essential for the environment, the purification of the air, as well as they are sinks, carbon sinks. They absorb carbon, which is a byproduct, or should I say, is a pollutant. By this effect, the forests help to control the environment by taking in the harmful carbon, which the forests use for photosynthesis. So forests are very essential as carbon sinks, thereby controlling the global warming and climate change by extension. Forests also help in controlling soil erosion. As you know, naturally the trees, the canopy that the trees form help to reduce the impact of the rain as it hits the ground, and also the flow, the water that flowing, the speed of water as it flows. This controls soil erosion and by extension prevents sedimentation in our rivers. Rainforests play a critical role in regulating the water levels in our major water bodies, rivers and lakes. For example, by the essence of acting as water towers, they therefore promote rainfall, which helps to recharge our rivers and streams and even lakes. Forests also help to control soil erosion, as I had said earlier. This helps to improve the soil conditions for our farmers, thereby enhancing agricultural production and improving the livelihoods of our communities. So forests are very essential to the well-being of our society. And in East Africa, over the years, there has been over-reliance on forests for forest products like timber, and this has posed a huge threat in the existence of forests, thereby causing a serious possibility of an environmental challenge if it's not checked.
Forestry makes a crucial contribution to the ecology and energy needs in East Africa, whose forest resources are an essential foundation for the country's present and future livelihood. In Uganda alone, there are 698 gazetted forest reserves, which constitute both local and central forest reserves. The National Forest Authority manages central forest reserves, while local forest reserves fall under the mandate of the local governments. Privately owned forests account for 70% of the forest cover in Uganda. Between 1990 and 2005, Uganda lost 1,329,570 hectares of forests, implying 88,638 hectares of forests per year, while Tanzania loses 91,500 hectares. That is 226 acres a year of its 33 million hectare total. Forests around mountains are not spared either. These water towers around the Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, Mount Kenya in Kenya, and the Rwenzori in Uganda are threatened. Snow on Mount Kilimanjaro used to start manifesting at 3,600 meters above sea level, but now one has to climb up to the very top of the mountain to find snow, which is 5,896 meters high. Rivers are equally threatened. The Iwasongiro River, one of the 12 rivers feeding from the Mao Forest Complex, which is Kenya's biggest forest and a vital water catchment in the country, is reducing, causing a livelihood challenge to people, crops, and livestock in Kenya. The Mara River, the lifeblood of the famous Masai Mara Game Park, which draws thousands of tourists every year, is falling. Lakes are equally at risk. Lake Nakuru, a center of a popular game park in Kenya, is slowly dwindling. Lake Natron in Tanzania is a breeding ground for the Rift Valley's famous flamingos, is now recording declining water levels.